It's a real pleasure to introduce my next guest here at the Property Investor Show. It's Martin Skinner, who I would like to describe as friend, mentor, all-round good guy, and of course investor in Property Tribes. So great to finally have you on Property Tribes TV.
Hi Vanessa, thank you for having me.
Now, your personal property journey, Martin, I think the best way of summarising it is a roller coaster, massive highs, massive lows, but you just kept on going.
Yeah, well, if you don't give up, you can't lose. So I've enjoyed my time in property enormously. I think it's given me a lot of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to have. I've had the privilege of meeting and working with some extraordinary people, and I enjoy creating something that is going to last. And really, we turn old buildings into really nice homes. So that's not such a bad way to spend your time, I think.
Indeed. We'll talk about that a little bit more, actually, because you've really created a niche product in a very sort of niche area. Tell us what's going on in Croydon.
Well, Croydon really, I think, has everything in terms of the key components that you want from an area to invest in. It has phenomenal transport links into central London. It has enormous investment in regeneration, and of course a massive new Westfield and Hammerson shopping centre. It also has very affordable, let's call them donor buildings, that we can turn into affordable private housing. It's got a good demographic, and it also really is a town, or almost even its own city centre for the area south of London.
Yes, and massive tenant demand as well. From an investment point of view, you want to find the demand before you create the supply, so a ready supply of tenants. Absolutely,
yeah. Well, it's really outstripped our original expectations. We sold 15 months worth of supply, intended supply, in just 9 days. And that was despite pushing prices up by about 25% from our original level. So yeah, and we've sold 3 times that many now since January.
Amazing. So let's just focus on your very niche offering. It's essentially compact but very well designed, high spec apartments.
Yeah, our goal really is to produce the best quality product in the location, and also to be in the best parts of that location at a price that normal people can afford to buy at. We manage to do that because we can produce smaller apartments, but we design them very efficiently so that they don't feel like smaller apartments. We have obviously open plan living spaces, but we also do what I call fire engineering the hallways out. So normally you need to have a protected fire route past the kitchen, which turns into a relatively useless hallway space that also gets in the way of the light. By putting in a sprinkler system or another fire engineered solution, we're able to get rid of that, which brings, let's say, 15 to 20% of the space that would have otherwise been an unusable hallway into the usable space within the apartment. And
you've also, another sort of interesting thing that you're doing is creating a social element to the building, so they almost become like their own communities.
Yeah, well, my background, I started in property by delivering a very substantial portfolio of professional house shares, now the licensed HMO model, and having built it from scratch and progressively over a long period of time, and having refined the product over that time and the service offering, one of the key things that I found with it was that people liked moving into what was really a ready-made social network within the houses. And by getting the right balance of guys and girls and age groups and occupations in the houses, we were able to really tune the result for the occupiers, so they enjoyed it more and more and more. Within the house building sector, I think people typically produce their homes to sell, and then they have no real interest afterwards. But having come from a build to rent background, and having had some of these tenants for as long as 10 years, I obviously have a foundation in wanting to keep those tenants happy so they stay for longer. And I think there's a big opportunity in buildings like those ones that we're converting to create areas where residents can get to know each other, socialise, socialise, become friends, and also add component parts that will be low maintenance but very useful to the people living there, make the experience of living there really enjoyable. So they again want to stay and it becomes a destination.
Yes.
So we're looking at, rather than just having the elements that you have to create, like let's say cycle storage, we're going to put a lot of effort into creating cycle maintenance areas that will become a social space.
Yes.
So people can hang out together and fix their bikes together. That's what I did when I was growing up, and increasingly in London people are relying on their bikes until they're much older than they did before.
Absolutely.
And we want to create, whether it's a gym or a private members club, we haven't quite decided yet, but we have a space reserved for that. We're working on the designs for it now, and we're also creating roof terrace spaces where we'll have lots of things to do. So we'll have all-weather table tennis, all-weather pool, we're likely to have a barbecue area, and we'll organise events and things so that people become friends and enjoy living there even more than they would otherwise do.
Brilliant. So just to finish, you've kind of become a poster boy of the kind of crowdfunding the kind of new entity, and you have the claim to fame of having the biggest peer-to-peer loan for a property development, is that right?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, in January we had 300 investors that all pulled together to lend us the money to buy Green Dragon House, and through Lend Invest that happened in just 2 weeks. So quite an amazing feat by Lend Invest and the Montello guys behind it.
Brilliant.
And we paid it off about 2 months ago, so all the investors got their return.
Well, it's great talking to you, Martin, and it's such a nice synergy between us and you and Property Tribes, because you've actually been a member of Property Tribes for many years, and we've always kind of shared and sort of supported each other along the way, so it's really lovely to have you on board.
Well, I'm very grateful that I was able to contribute something. Very grateful for the help that you gave me when I was coming out of a very hard, difficult period, and also the community as well. They generally were very supportive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Property Tribes thrive.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure with your input it most certainly will. So thank you very much. We've been talking to Martin Skinnard here on the Inspired Homes and Inspired Asset Management stand. Hope you've enjoyed meeting Martin.